منصورم من فاتح منصورم در عالم حسین جان و من جانانم زینب روح من ریحانم ابوالفضل علمدار و من مقلد عمو جانم کس و کارم ولی الله من اسیرم ولی فتاح خردسالم ولی آقا منم دختر دردانه شاه سلطان دین پناه اعلی حضرت همایون ابی عبدالله علی اکبر قاری و من مفسر قرآنم اجر اشکم من امید آرزو من دانم قبله سینه زنانم اجر اشکم عشق صاحب مشکم من به حکم بر عالم تحکم میکنم اختر عشقم پس نور من است دختر عشقم پس امر من است داور عشقم پس حکم من است نوه درم رقیه درم من دخترم عفیفه و دلاورم با عقیلت العرب هم سنگرم پدرم شمع و من پروانه پدرم روح و من ریانه پیش چشم من یکیست کاخ و ویرانه من حیدر کرار را نواده ام من شاهزاده ام من خود اراده ام مثل پدر به حکم خدا سر نهاده ام آغوش بر رضای الهی گشاده ام به بابایم قول داده ام تا آخرین نفس من ایستاده ام چه در رها چه در قفس من ایستاده ام حرف عمه جان و من همین و بس با خانواده من ایستادم با جسم کوچک و روح لطیف و ساده ام من ایستاده ام هرچه داشتم از دست دادم من ایستاده ام چند بار از ناقه فتاده ام من ایستاده ام رقیه درم من نویه من نورم نوه نور فوق کل نورم من فاتح منصورم من فاتح منصورم در عالم حسین جان و من جانانم
الله الرحمن الرحیم السلام علیک یا ابا عبدالله السلام علیک یا ابن رسول الله السلام علیک یا خیرة الله و ابنه السلام علیک یا ابن امیر المؤمنین و ابن سید الوصیین السلام علیک یا ابن فاطمة سیدة النساء العالمین السلام علیک یا سار الله و ابن ساره والوتر الموتور السلام علیک وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، يا أبا، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها. ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، يا أبا الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن هاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاتبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجان، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتامك. بأبي أنت وأمي، بأبي أنت وأمي. لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب صارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله،
يا أبا عبد الله،
يا أبا الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بمولاتك وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالات وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الهاد وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم إني سلم لمن صالمكم
وحرب لمن حاربكم ولي لمن والاكم
وعدو لمن عاداكم فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة وأسأله أن يبلغنا المقام المحمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني طلب صاركم مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم وأسأل الله بحقكم وبشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يؤتيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يؤتي مصابا بمصيبته مصيبة ما أعزمها وأعزم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللين ابن اللين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة الأبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه السلام. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن الإصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتائبت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. همه با هم. Everyone. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى One more time. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وعبد به أولا ثم لعن الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمران وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. همه بسجده. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين. الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. اللهم صل على محمد و آله.
روح من ریحانم، ابوالفضل علمدار و من مقلد عمو جانم، کس و کارم ولی الله، من اسیرم ولی فتاح، خردسالم ولی آگاه، منم دختر دردانه شاه، سلطان دین پناه اعلی حضرت همایون ابی عبدالله. علی اکبر قاری و من مفسر قرآنم، اجر اشکم من امید آرزو من دانم، قبله سینه زنانم، اجر اشکم عشق صاحب مشکم، من به حکم اختر عشقم، پس نور من است، دختر عشقم پس امر من است، داور عشقم پس حکم من است، نوه درم رقیه درم. من دخترم عفیفه و دلاورم، با عقیلت العرب هم سنگرم، پدرم شمع و من پروانه، پدرم روح و من ریانه، پیش چشم من یکیست کاخ و ویرانه، من حیدر کرار را نواده ام، من شاهزاده ام، من خود اراده ام، مثل پدر به حکم خدا سر نهاده ام، آغوش بر رضای الهی گشاده ام، به بابایم قول داده ام، تا آخرین نفس من ایستاده ام، چه در رها چه در قفس من ایستاده ام، حرف عمه جان و من همین و بس، با خانواده من ایستادم، با جسم کوچک و روح لطیف و ساده ام، من ایستاده ام، هر چه داشتم از دست دادم، من ایستاده ام، هر چند بار از ناقه فتاده ام، من ایستاده ام، رقیه درم من نویه من نورم، نوه نور فوق کل نورم، من فاتح منصورم، من فاتح منصورم، در عالم حسین جان و من جانانم، زینب روح من ریحانم، ابوالفضل علمدار و من مقلد عمو جانم، کس و کارم ولی الله، من اسیرم ولی فتاح، خردسالم ولی آگاه، منم دختر دردانه شاه، سلطان دین پناه اعلی حضرت همایون ابی عبدالله. علی اکبر قاری و من مفسر قرآنم، اجر اشکم من امید آرزو من دانم، قبله سینه زنانم، اجر اشکم عشق صاحب مشکم، من به حکم بر عالم تحکم میکنم، اختر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. سلام بر حسین، سلام بر اولاد حسین، سلام بر اصحاب حسین، سلام بر فاطمه زهرا، سلام بر زینب کبرا و سلام بر حجت ابن الحسن. ای خدایی که منتهای آرزوی آرزومندانی و مقصود نهایی نیازمندان، عالی ترین مطلوب طالبانی و بالاترین خواست خواستارانی، یار دوستان درستکارانی و اجابت کننده دعای پریشان خاطرانی، ای ذخیره بینوایان، ای کریم ترین کریمان و ای مهربان ترین مهربانان، اکنون این بنده به درگاه کرمت ایستاده و در معرض الطاف در آمده و به رشته محکم تو چنگ زده، به حلقه محکم تو در آویخته، نومیدش مکن. ای پروردگار بزرگ، فضل تو عیبها بپوشاند و گناهها ببخشاید، ولی عدل تو به سیئات و معاصی مجازات دهد و گناهکار را به سزای گناهش برساند. یا رب از خطاهای ما همی درگذر و لغزش ما را نادیده بگذار و قلم عفو بر جرائم اعمال ما درکش. این فضل تو و عنایت توست که ما را از رنج و عقاب بر کنار می دارد. یا رب همچنان بر ما منت گذار و از آنچه نکوهیده کرده ایم و ناپسند روا داشته ایم درگذر. الهی روزم را چون شبم روحانی گردان و شبم را چون روز نورانی گردان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. بنال ای دل، بریز از دیدم اشک، بنال ای دل، بریز از دیدم اشک، که دلها چون خونبار حسین است. فدا شد حضرتش در راه محبوب، کنون عالم فداکار حسین است. جهان چون روز عاشورا را ندیده، جهان چون روز عاشورا را ندیده، جهان حیران پیکار حسین است. همه جانها گرفتار حسین است، همه دلها عزادار حسین است. امید بینوایان هم حسین است، غنای بخش گدایان هم حسین است. به محشر باور یارم حسین است، به محشر باور یارم حسین است. چه باکم چون که دلدارم حسین است. فروغ هر دو عالم از حسین است، صفای بزم آدم از حسین است. شفای بخش دلداران حسین است، دوای درد بی حالان حسین است. قیامت روشن از روی حسین است، شهادت رمزی از کوی حسین است. علی دلداده روی حسین است، علی دلداده روی حسین است. غم زهرا غم روی حسین است. بقای دین احمد از حسین است، بقای دین احمد از حسین است. حسین از احمد و محمد از حسین است. صلوات محمد و آل محمد.
با تشکر از برادر عزیز ما آقای تهرانی. برنامه‌های فردا که روز جمعه است، بلاد درایو که از سنده روز یکشنبه، ببخشید، اینجاست که باید شما قدر حاجی فرزاده بدانین که اگر او نباشه چی مشکلات پیش میاد. و او عزیزانم که از امسال تشریف بردن به مسجدهای دیگه قدری مسجد میدانن که میگن چقدر اون متاسفانه بگیم این چیز نیست. خب الحمدلله ما اینجا غرق نعمت هستیم و نمیدانیم. اون در اکثر مساجد بسیار کمبودی است، بسیار چیزایی است که ما شما اینجا به فراوانی غرق هستیم. شکر الحمدلله. خب عزیزان، روز یکشنبه کسایی که ثبت نام کردن برای خون دادن و یا همون بلاد درایو، انشالله که همگی ثبت نام کرده باشن و با وقت حاضر شوند که ساعت 12 الی 4 بعد از ظهر هم مجلس جلوس است که امور راهپیمایی میشه، راهپیمایی روز عاشورا. آدرس عزیزان انشالله همگی دارن. برای کسایی که انگلیسی میفهمن، ما متاسفانه زیاد انگلیسی چیز نمیکنم، اما قدر میگم که برای شما انشالله brothers and sisters, anybody when they need to pay donation, brother Zia Hamili is here. Please do the donation. And also anybody want to for the food, also they can pay with this brother Zia Hamili or brother Said. Thank you so much. all از آجاقا خواهش میکنیم که تشریف بیاورند و از صحبت‌های شیرینشان ما را مستفیض بگردانند. برای سلامتی خودشان و خانواده‌شان اجماعاً صلوات. الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of Rasulullah, the Messenger of Allah, and his immaculate progeny Ahlul Bayt, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just as a quick reminder, because it was said in Farsi, tomorrow we will have, inshallah, the blood drive in the morning. If you have an appointment, please show up on time for your appointment. And if you did not make an appointment, make sure I checked today, there were still available slots that you can volunteer to donate. But inshallah, those of you already did. It will be a great cause, inshallah, to help those in need, especially those who are sick. This could be very beneficial to help people in need. Secondly, tomorrow it's Hussain Day. It's one day during the year that all the centers in Southern California come together to honor Imam Hussain alayhi salam with a march. So it will be the same location as last year, and it will be at the time similar. They start around 12 o'clock, but the main programs start before Salat, before Namaz, and then we have the prayer in Jamaat, and then the rest of the march and Azadari until we get to the end, and there will be some programs when they finish. It's between 12 and 4. So inshallah, those who are, it's a Sunday anyway, it's a day off, so you and your family can join, and it will be a great way to honor Imam Hussain alayhi salam. It will be inshallah a sample of Arba'in walk. So for many, including myself, we did not have the chance of going to Arba'in. This could be just a sample of that walk, inshallah. For the honor of Abu Abdullah Hussain alayhi salam, and all those who organize majalis programs in the honor of the Master of Martyrs, and all those who are working behind the scene in this masjid, anywhere, anyone who's helping in any capacity, please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا العبد المؤيد والرسول المصدد أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق من ماء دافق. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of Imam of our time, hastening in the reappearance and return of Imam of our time, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There's this statement Imam Hussain alayhi salam before he arrived in Karbala he made. I mentioned last night a letter that Imam Hussain wrote to his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, his stepbrother. And in that letter he explained that why do I stand for? Imam mentioned I did not leave Medina behind. I did not go toward Kufa because I was interested in the endeavor of seeking power or adventurous journey for me. It wasn't to cause corruption. It wasn't to oppress anyone. My intention from leaving my home, my city behind was to reform the ummah, the nation of my grandfather Rasulullah. Islah. And inshallah, Muharram, not only Muharram, every day of our lives is a great opportunity to reform, to change for the better. I did not know there is such a thing that I recently, again, I'm getting up to speed with some terminologies among young people. Apparently, some people settle when it comes to marriage. They settle down. And what it means is that when they don't find the ideal person they're looking for, they just say, okay, it is what it is. It's not the perfect option, but I'm going to just say okay and just move on. And why I say this is because in our lives, sometimes we get settled down with who we are. It is what it is, you know. I do good deeds. I do go to Muharram. I fast in Ramadan. What if a couple of times I lie? It is what it is. I go to Hajj even. I give charity and sadaqah. But I maybe betray someone's trust as well. If I can get away with an opportunity to con someone to make a bit more money, what's the harm in that? He's rich, she's rich, they can afford it. This mentality and mindset, which is that we say there's no need for me to change. It is what it is. It could be a place for us to never move forward. Rather, there's a moment of regression, going backward, to lose that even what we have. This is what, by the way, Umar ibn Sa'd did, right? History of Imam Hussein's life has that lesson. As I said, if you want change, let's go with Imam Hussain to learn how to do it. One of the prominent enemies that we know his name is mentioned in Ziyarat Ashura is Umar ibn Sa'd. Who is Umar ibn Sa'd? He is someone who is known among the people of Kufa for someone who is an opportunist. He's looking for a chance to do his business, to get an opportunity, to get a promotion, to make more money. So he was not someone very honorable among the people of Kufa. Unlike Hur. Hur was known to be a man of honor. Umar ibn Sa'd was not known for honor. But he was known that if he can stab you in the back to get what he wants, he would do it. But at the same time, he was someone who did Hajj as well. He was a Haji as well. He was somebody who had memorized a couple of prophets, hadith, qala Rasulullah here and there as well. In order to support Yazid, he would quote prophet and hadith and religion to support Yazid. So we have that when he was sent to Karbala to reinforce the existing army of Hur, he was hoping for the battle not to take place. He did not want to engage in a battle with Imam Hussain. Why, you may ask? Because obviously for him it was clear that Imam Hussain is not someone who's going to give allegiance to Yazid. And at the same time, Yazid is not someone who's on the right side either. He knows that Yazid is on the falsehood, but he knows Yazid has the money. If you support Imam Hussain, Imam Hussain said, okay, thank you for your support. You did the right thing. What do you want? And he would say, I want to be a governor. I want some position. What's in it for me? And Imam Hussain obviously would not give him that position. Said, I will give the governor of Ray, if I come to power, to someone who is qualified. And you're not qualified. And he knew it. So what he did, they say he played, again, it's a terminology I don't like, is a card terminology. He played his card right, in his mind. I'm going to go with Yazid. Why? Because he doesn't care if I'm qualified or not. I am better than Yazid, obviously. So what do you want? You want me to stop Hussain? I will do it. I don't want to go through the history without getting to the main point, but this is necessary. We have that he had a couple of meetings with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He went to a stand, he talked to him, he tried to convince him. Didn't work out, obviously. And one of the important statements of Imam Hussain is, no one like Hussain will give allegiance to the like of Yazid. So anyone whose mindset, whose values, whose principles like Hussain will not give approval to the actions of anyone who's like Yazid. But he tried his best, Umar ibn Sa'd. Until the letter was sent to him that if Hussain did not give allegiance, if he did not approve my rule over the Muslim Ummah, he didn't give us his support, then attack him, kill him, make an example out of him. Do the worst that you can. And it's even written that beheading is part of it, sever their heads, and then tremble their bodies. All is mentioned. We obviously were not ruling over people's heart. No one is big fan of Bani Umayyah. Let's rule with fear. Obviously. We have that Umar ibn Sa'd wrote a letter back to Ibn Ziyad that this is not the right move. Hussain is the grandson of Prophet. People know him. If you kill him, this is going to be bad for you. So he was encouraging Ibn Ziyad and Bani Umayyah not to engage with Imam Hussain. He said, look, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. He tried to stop Karbala, he stopped Ashura, he negotiated in favor of Imam Hussain, but obviously he was not doing it for Imam Hussain. He was concerned about himself, because if he is going to cover his hand with the blood of Hussain alayhi salam, he will not be able to put his up in city of Kufa anymore. This is the city that the father of Hussain, Ali, ruled over, and people still have loyalty to Ali. So we have that Shimr was sent with the response. Shimr joined later, by the way. Shimr, another villain of this story. He came with the letter answer to Umar ibn Sa'd that if you're not a man of this job, you cannot do it. Get away and let Shem rule. He is the commander of the army now, if you cannot do it. So in other words, the replacement was sent with the response, with the answer. And obviously someone who all their concern is this life, I'm not going to let Shem take my place. I'm going to do it. And he did. He went through with it. You know what's the sad part? He cried. When they attacked Imam Hussain, he cried. When they burned the tents of Imam Hussain, he cried. The same person who gave orders. It reminds me of colonizer who conquered and stole and ripped away all the resources from the lands, and then they cry for the poor people. It's not that different. The criminal is crying for the victim that they put in that position. So why I said this part of history? Because if I settle, easily I could be in the position that there is a moment of test that I have to choose. And if I want to change for the better, there is a chance for me to make the right call. But if I am who I am and I accepted who I am in a sense that I know what I do is wrong, but I do good too, so they cancel each other out, so no need for me to change. That will put us in a very compromised position. There's a big risk to take. That's why another statement Imam Hussain made. Once again, if we are confused about what Imam Hussain stood for, because on social media every year we have these repeated objections, misconceptions, accusations coming back every Muharram. That who are you crying for? Who are you mourning for? The one who killed Hussain were the Shias of Hussain. That's one of those nonsense that we hear back. Second is that, why you cry? This was an internal issue. They were cousins. It was a bunch of cousins fighting with each other. They make it very personal, insignificant, when in reality is none of that. And multiple historical evidences that we have, Imam clearly said, what is this about? What is this whole confrontation about? It's not about power, fight, and struggle. It's about change. This is another one that Imam Hussain said. He said, Allahumma innaka ta'lam. This is before they arrived in Karbala. He said, oh Allah, you know. This is mentioned in Tuhaf al-Uqul, Bihar al-Anwar, other sources. This is what Imam Hussain said. Oh Allah, indeed you know. إنه لم يكن ما كان منا تنافسا في سلطان. You know that none of us, me and my family, the Ahlul Bayt, we never did our decisions, our standing up, our movement, our revolutions for the sake of coming to power. Sultan is to be the one. Sulta is that when you have the power, you have the kingdom, you have the ability to rule. Said, Ya Allah, you know that this is not what Ahlul Bayt are about. Ali was not about that, Ali alayhi salam. Hassan was not about that, and Hussain is not about that either. It's not that they will not rule. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want them to lead, it wouldn't be called Imam. They're supposed to lead, but in order to lead, people have to follow. Even if you have the best of commanders, if that commander has no soldier to obey his commands, what's the commander for? What's the word commander about? An Imam is to lead and people to follow. But Imam is not a king. I know we say Shah has Hussain, Padishah has Hussain. It's a figurative speech, figurative words, figure of speech. Imam is not a king, is not a Padishah, is none of that. Imam, is a divine leader. He's not a sultan either. So Ya Allah, you know that this is not what Hussain is about. It's not to rule. to fight over power. وَلَا إِلْتِمَاسًا مِنْ فُضُولِ الْحُطَامِ. This is not to acquire wealth. This is not to acquire resources either. I'm not looking in after anything. I'm not looking after any of this. Lakin, but why? Lakin means but. What is Hussain after? He said, I'm after four things. Number one, لِنَرَى الْمَعَالِمَ مِنْ دِينِكَ. I'm here to show the signs of your religion. Ma'alim, alam means a sign. Ma'alim is a plural of alam. The signs of your deen. Deen has signs. You know, when we wear this black, some people say, why we wear black is in our heart that we're mourning. I know, it's true. But this is a sign. At the end of the day, these are all symbols. Even people with no faith, they have symbols. They hang certain flags at their door. Even they know the meaning of symbol and signs. And when it comes to our faith, suddenly everything is internal. No, our deen has signs. When you wear an aqiq on the right hand, this is a sign. When you pray, when it comes to the time of salat, is a sign. Wherever you live, you try to establish a center, a place of worship, that's a sign. That become a place of worship. What Yazid was doing, on the other hand, was destroying these signs. Making a mock out of religion. Let me tell you an example. Why Imam Hussain stood against Yazid. Who is Yazid? So after Karbala, Bani Umayyah, as we know, they were in power. They continued. It wasn't that right away they collapsed. They were in power for another 60 years. In the year 132 after Hijrah, it was their final ruler, and eventually Bani Abbas replaced it. But during these years, there is a companion of the Prophet by the name of Hanzala Ghasilul Malaika. Hanzala was his name. He's someone who Prophet said about him when he was martyred that angels performed his ghusl. Ghasilul Malaika, they washed him. A man of piety, a man of obedience, a man of worship, and brave as well. He had a son by the name of Abdullah, and he was in Medina. He had only one son, Abdullah ibn Hanzala. And when Imam Hussain left toward Kufa, and first Imam Hussain went for Mecca for Hajj, he didn't join Imam Hussain alayhi salam. For whatever reason. Even he tried to convince Imam Hussain not to go. So what happened? He didn't go. Karbala happened. Imam Hussain and his companion were martyred. And after that, we have that these people start to show opposition to Yazid. People like him and others. So what Yazid did, he said, okay, in order to keep an eye on them, he invited them all the way from Medina to Sham. He said, come, I want to talk to you. You're my special guest. So people like him and some other companions of the Prophet or Tabi'een, they were invited and they stayed in the courtyard of Yazid for a while. And they were given some gifts and then they returned home. So in other way, he tried to buy their loyalty. So when Abdullah ibn Hanzala came back, he was a man of, as I said, people recognized him in the city of Medina. People went to him. The leaders of Medina went to him and said, how was it? What do you think of Yazid? Now that you met him in person, you went all the way to Sham and came. And he said, let me be clear. The man that I met has no intention to be a ruler of Muslims. The amount of time that I was there, I saw him multiple times being drunk. I saw him leading prayers being drunk. I saw him engaging in many sins before us, in front of us, and he knew who we are. He was so reckless that he did it without any care because he knows that he has the power. So anything that you call the symbol of religion, he mocks. This is a man, and one more day if he's in power, we cannot respond and answer prophet of God in the day of judgment. That we let a man like him be in charge of Islam and Muslims. What are you going to do? He had 8 sons. He said, if you're not joining me, O people of Medina, I will start opposition and resistance against Yazid myself. This is after Karbala, by the way. This is later on known in the history as Harra, the event of Harra, which was basically the rise of the people of Medina against Yazid. This is after Karbala. And what Yazid did in Harra, we think again, how some people, even someone who's called Muslim, they try to whitewash what he did. It's mind-boggling to me. Because if you read history, this guy, there's no way. Okay, you have something personal with Imam Hussain and Ahlul Bayt. Okay, let's put that aside. In Harra, what he did, of course, the news, his spies told him that this is something happening in Medina. They're rising against you. He sent an army to Medina, someone by the name of Muslim ibn Uqba, a vicious, tyrannical, and at the same time a sadist in an absolute sense. And he gave him a free pass. He said, go to Medina and do whatever you want with your soldiers. And they came to Medina and killed Abdullah ibn Handala, all his 8 sons, and thousands of people. And then, let's not talk about the rape and everything that happened in the city of Prophet. They burned down Medina to make an example. This is Yazid. And later on, this is the same man, his army goes and burns down Kaaba. Destroy Kaaba too. And it's still, Yazid is, Allah will judge him. Why you do lan of Yazid? This is mind-boggling. That how far someone will go in order to defend an oppressor. That's why many Muslims, Ahlul Sunnah, when it comes to Yazid, they clearly said Yazid la'anatullah. This is no way. Anyone else, yes, there's a debate for us, but this guy, even we cannot, whitewash what he did. So Imam Hussain said, I see the symbols of faith are being destroyed. Ma'alim ad-dinina. I am here to linara al-ma'alim, is to show the world, to show the ummah the signs of religion. I'm not going to let this person destroy it. If it was up to Yazid, he would have eventually destroyed azan and salat. We have that somebody was reciting this poetry that ای مهر کربلای تو ای خاک کربلای تو مهر نماز من, which means you're the one that the soil of your land, Karbala, it's what we use for sajda. And an alim said, I think you should tweak this. Said, ای خاک کربلای تو اصل نماز من. If it wasn't because of what you did in Karbala, the asl means the foundation of salat was in danger. Someone like Yazid, I promise you would not let anything of this religion survive. A man who doesn't respect the sanctity of Mecca and Medina, do you think that person respects Salah? Second one, Imam alayhi salam said, وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحَ فِي بِلَادِكَ. I did this in order to show and reveal Islah, reformation in the cities. I encourage you to read the history of Bani Umayyah and what they have done. The double standard they have. People of Sham, big fan of Bani Umayyah. Anywhere outside Sham, you see people, because they brought all the resources, they make this kind of cult around themselves. The rest of the Muslim Ummah was suffering at the time. How many people were in prison at the time? How many people were persecuted and killed? And Imam said, I'm here to reform that. I'm here to change that. وَيَأْمَنَ الْمَظْلُومُونَ. I'm here, the third reason is to give refuge to those who are oppressed. Because people think there's no one for them. Nobody cares about them. Only if you have money, only if you are loyal to Bani Umayyah, you have something. If you don't, you're a lost cause. I'm here to provide protection, amn and safety for those who are oppressed. And fourth, وَيَعْمَلْ بِفَرَائِذِكَ وَسُنَّتِكَ وَأَحْكَامِكَ. Oh Allah, you know that my fourth reason was not to get ruled to power or any of that. It was to establish what was wajib, an obligation. Your ahkam, your rule. If it was up to someone else, he would change the rule up to his opinion. But I'm here to stop that the rule of Allah has to be the one that nobody have the right to change it. So it should be clear why Imam Hussain ﷺ did what he did. Why he put his life in line. 4 reasons in his own word. 4 reasons. And each reason is a cause that we should stand for as well. The symbols of our faith, the signs of our deen matters, my brothers and sisters. Our identity as a Muslim, it comes from these signs. Do not take them lightly. We try to sometimes cover this identity. You know, one of those signs, one of those a'lam of our deen is what? Name. Our names. You know, we've been compensating. We've been providing comfort for others. Yeah, we're going to choose a name that is easy for others to say. I get it. Yeah, there's some names that are very complicated. I get it. There are multiple mixtures of name, right? But to take away your entire value and identity as a Muslim and choose a name that has nothing to do with who we are is a problem. That's the sign. They did a study at the University in San Francisco among children aged 9 to 13. And they find out 1 out of 3 Muslim child or teenager, when they face some form of Islamophobia, they hide their faith. And they try to not talking about it. Why? Because we don't give them the confidence. We even, with choosing a name, said, okay, let's go on the low here. Let's not talk about who we are. And it's an honor, again, because of our heritage. Oh, you look Italian. We become happy by that. It's like a compliment. You look Greek. You look this and that. What happened that I feel inferior to somebody who's not, they're not a big fan of who, my ethnicity is from, or my roots and my lineage. Why I'm becoming happy? There is something out there that makes me think this way. In order to get there, we need to embrace the signs of our faith. Have your aqiq in your hand. Have your Muslim name with you. You say there may be discrimination. Of course, not maybe. For sure, there will be in some cases discrimination. But the question is, are we ready to pay the price? And the short answer should be yes. If you believe in something, you should be able to pay the price. If the Sikh is ready to wear that turban proudly, they're ready to pay the price for it, right? Yes or no? When a Christian wear that cross, when a Jewish wear that Star of David, or any other faith, they open the door of hate crime. There's a possibility of somebody discriminating against them as well. But they understand this is who they are. They're proud of it. They pass it down to their children. And the more we ignore that, the more we will transform to something that we don't even know what it is. We don't even know who we are anymore. Let me start with that, inshallah. Tomorrow night we can start with what kind of change, what kind of islah we should be looking for. The first one, I give you inshallah the introduction for tomorrow, we will go on that, is al-islah, reformation in our relationship with Allah. We need to change certain things about it. And I tell you why. Because the more I hear questions that people have about God, the more it becomes clear that the way we understand Allah, our relationship with them is not built on the proper foundation. The one who reform and do islah and change the relationship with Allah for the better. Imam Ali alayhi salam said in Nahjul Balagha, Man aslaha, Allahumma salli. Man aslaha ma baynahu wa bayn Allah. If somebody reformed their relationship, what is between them and Allah, Allah will reform his relationship, her relationship with people. So don't go fixing something that is not going to fix the other. Allah said this is going to be buy one, get one free. Fix your relationship with Allah, reform it, correct it, and your relationship with people will be fine. Allah will fix it for you. How to do that? We need to change certain things. What are those changes? Inshallah, we will talk about them tomorrow night. In summary, what we talked about is Imam Hussain, in his own word, he said, what is the reason that I put my life in line? He said 4 reasons. Islah and reformation and change is one of them. Another important one out of 4 was the signs of religion to be visible. And we need to sometimes make the signs of our faith visible. When you wear black, the minimum of conversation this color will create is, why are you wearing black? That's a good conversation starter, an icebreaker. Then you can engage in something. If Allah guides someone or not, Allah knows. But you have that opportunity. The same way when you see a Christian have ashes on their forehead, you ask, what is this for? Ash, what is it? They have their symbol and they stick with it. Our faith has its own symbols. And the last point that I mentioned is, one of those symbols that we should be careful of is about our name. Prophet said, responsibility of a parent is أَن يُحَسِّنَ إِسْمَهُ, choose beautiful names, good names for your children. And I'm not saying that the name you choose has to be necessarily a very difficult name to pronounce with a couple of H in the middle that people struggle with, right? But at the same time, don't choose a name that is not even part of your faith. I know sometimes we choose names of Hindu gods for the sake of Allah. What are we doing? Hindu gods. Do you know that we're Muslim? We believe in one God. We reject polytheism? Yes, but this name sounds cool. It's easy to pronounce. Today I said it. I said, if you focus on raising good, strong members of our community and our society, people will learn your name. Your name become later. If I ask the young people, especially the men here, right? What's the last name of Habib, the UFC fighter? What is his last name? You know, Habib you call him. His name is Habib, right? What's his last name? Sisters know it. The brothers at the end, I think they are embarrassed to say it. People know his last name. Why? Is it an easy last name? If you are strong, if you stand up for what you believe in, people will have to learn, come to your standards. If you're weak, if you cave in, no matter how easy it is, at the end said, oh, this guy, he or she is two-faced. He or she is a Muslim. Yes, you call him this and that, but he's a Muslim. Because they said, okay, you don't have the integrity to stand up for your own faith. How can I trust you? How can I trust you? And this month of Muharram, ask Allah for strength. Because in order to stand up for what's right, it requires courage. I'm not saying to start fighting, arguing. No. If somebody mispronounced your name, don't get upset. They did their best. Teach them if they can. If they couldn't, they couldn't. You know, somebody asked me and said, you know, I heard that if I don't know how to recite Quran correctly, it's a sin for me to recite it. Multiple people asked me. I said, no, who said it? I said, no, you're reading Quran, but you're reading it wrong. And I said, are you doing it intentionally? No. Do you try to learn it? Yes. So read it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understand. If you intentionally make mistakes and change it, that's a sin, obviously. But if you did your best, now you may have a mistake, you move a vowel here and there, it's fine. I knew people that they were scared to recite Quran. So if somebody tried to say your name and they made a mistake, don't get upset, don't get furious. They did their best. Kindly try to tell them. Don't force them. But at the same time, don't say, oh, you cannot say it, this is it. And that had come from family, within the family. It's sad that for a Muslim family, we honor Christmas, but when it comes to Eid or Muharram, I'm busy, I have work. That's a holiday. Yes, I get it as a holiday, but as far as I know, by the law is that people in this country, they should be able to get a day off or some days off for religious holidays. It's up to us. That change has to come from us. I ask for it. I explained that this is my faith. Can I have? I was talking to one of the youth, one of our brothers here. So, you know, a lot of people are scared. I was looking for a place to pray. A lot of people try to hide it. I went to my supervisor or my boss and I said, you know, I'm a Muslim. I try to pray. So, oh, good. This is a room you can pray from now on. Let me know if you need anything else. A lot of people are understanding. People in Disneyland. I know somebody said we were in Disneyland. Not promoting, no commission, no advertisement. Said, I was looking for a place to pray, so I asked someone. I remember they said they took us to nurse office, give us a place, give us a privacy, pray. No, it's too much. We stick with who we are. We change our mentality. And one mentality is that if something is important to me, it should be important all the time. Salat is important all the time. It's not just only important in the masjid. It's all the time. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq, to preserve, to protect our iman, to protect our values, the symbols, the signs of our religion, and inshallah to have the strength. We have the ability to stand up for our values, to defend our values. We respect other people's values and we can ask the same thing from others, inshallah. For the honor of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Sayyid al-Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Once again, I repeat, every night we recite a different musibah. Musibah meaning a narration of the tragedy. Except Muslim ibn Aqil, which he was martyred. He was the messenger of Imam Hussain in Kufa. He was killed in Kufa 1 month before Ashura. Every other shaheed that we mention here, all of them were martyred in the day of Ashura, on the 10th of Muharram. Each night we remember one of them because of the time, we are commemorating Shahada of Imam Hussain from the 1st of Muharram to the 10th. So every night we dedicated to one. It's not that each shaheed was martyred on that night. No, all of them were martyred except Muslim, martyred on the day of Ashura, on the 10th of Muharram. And that's why every night they, depending on some centers and some communities, they dedicate certain night for a certain shaheed. For example, last night we did for Tiflan, or the children of Hazrat Zainab. They're two shaheed of the day of Ashura. The other night we did for Hur. Tonight we dedicate tonight's to a shaheed who was 8 years old, which was an orphan of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. He is the younger brother of Hazrat Qasim. His name is Abdullah. Abdullah ibn Hassan, Abdullah son of Hassan. And he was the one who is one of the final shuhada. Why? Because an 8-year-old is not meant for a battle. What happened was that when all the companions, all the youth, all the Bani Hashim, one by one went for the battle, Abu al-Fadl Abbas went for the battle, and they were martyred, and Imam Hussain salam brought most of their bodies back. It was Imam Hussein's turn to go. So he went. But he received multiple injuries, Imam Hussain salam. He was bleeding from his chest, from his forehead, because there are injuries of the sword, there are injuries of arrows, there are injuries of stones, because they attacked Imam Hussein in every possible way they could. So we have that Imam Hussain salam, due to his injuries, he paused for a moment to catch his breath. And we have that the enemies took advantage of that. So they get the circle tighter and tighter around him. And nobody really wants to deal with them one-to-one. So everybody look at each other in order to finish Imam Hussain once for all. And by the way, when we say Karbala, it was a plain field, so everything is easily visible. It wasn't like mountainous. So as this is happening, the family of Imam Hussain is watching this. This is their final fighter. This is Hussain himself. And this orphan of Imam Hassan, that after his father, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain is like a father to him. He lost his father at a young age. From the moment he could, recognize his left and right hand, Imam Hussain is the one teaching him everything. So we have that he started running toward the battlefield, toward Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And Hazrat Zainab and the other woman tried to restrain him, stop him. And we have that he pulled his hand away from him. Said, Wallah la ufariqu ammi. I swear to Allah, you cannot separate me from my uncle. He ran and ran until he get to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Imam Hussain is bleeding himself, embraced him. This is the light of his brother's eyes. This is the yatim of his brother, the orphan of his brother. Said, my dear Abdullah, why you came here? Go back, go to your aunt Zainab. And this is a family that bravery is even in their children. So he saw the enemies. One of them is by the name of Ka'ab. He was trying to strike Imam Hussain with his sword, and he looked at him and said, oh wretched man, are you trying to kill my uncle? And as he threw his behalf, as he struck, and as he brought his sword down, he put his hand as a shield between Imam Hussain and the sword. And we have that his hand started hanging and he fell on the chest of Abu Abdullah. Do you think they left Hussein and they left Abdullah? I said, this is not regular enemies. This is why you say, Ya Allah, take your mercy away from the killers of Hussein. They had no mercy even to an 8 years old. We have that Harmala aim for the neck of Abdullah. And as he is talking to his uncle, that uncle, the pain of my hand, this is not easy for me to handle this pain. Abu Abdullah is comforting him, my dear Abdullah, soon you will be with your father Hassan and your grandfather Rasulullah. Until the arrow of Harmala came on the neck of Abdullah, fell on the chest of Hussein. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah, ya Hussain ibn Ali. أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. Everyone, يا وجيها اشفع لنا. هوای پر زدن دارم عمو جان، زره نه پیراهن دارم عمو جان. برادر زادت را هم بغل کن، نیابت از حسن دارم عمو جان. گرفته بین این قوقا صدایم، تو مثل مجتبی هستی برایم. نبینم اما را در اسارت، فدای دست زینب دستهایم. اینا را از مقتل میخوانم، جمله به جملهش در تاریخ آمده است که وقد ضعف عن القتال. روز عاشورا ابو عبدالله حسین وقتی وارد میدان شد زخمای زیادی برداشت، از شدت خونریزی لحظه ایستاد، از شدت ضعف از جنگ ایستاد. زبان ابو عبدالله بلند شد، دعای قربانی رو خواند. بسم الله و بالله و علی ملت رسول الله. لحظات آخر عمر حسین است، خود رو برای دیدار یار آماده می کنند. جملات حسین بوی رفتن از این عالم رو می دهند. الهی تعلم انهم یقتلون ابن بنت نبیهم. خدایا تو میدانی این قوم تصمیم گرفتن فرزند دختر پیامبرت رو بکشن. ثم ضعف من كثرة انبعاث الدم. از شدت خونایی که از بدن رفته آقا لحظه ای مکس کن. فخرج الیه عبدالله ابن حسن. این لحظه بود که دید لحظه مناسبی است عبدالله یتیم امام حسن برادر کوچکتر قاسم تا دید عمو ایستاده از جنگ دوان دوان به طرف میدان دوید. هرچه خواست زینب کبرا این کودک رو نگه دارد، دستش رو از دست عمه جدا کرد. صدا زد به خدا من رو از عمویم جدا نکنید. ای با پاهای کوچکش دوید. چشمها رو ببندید، تصور کن چگونه یک کودک 8 ساله در بین این همه دشمن خودش رو به حسین رساند. چقدر زیبا گفته و شاعر: یک نفس آمده ام تا که عمو را نزنی، که به این سینه مجروح تو با پا نزنی. ذکر لا حول ولا از دو لبش میبارد، با چنین نیزه سرسخت به لبا نزنی. خود رو انداخت بالای بدن عمو. حسین رو کرد: عبدالله جان چرا اینجا آمدی؟ برگرد به خیمگاه. هنوز جمله ابا عبدالله تمام نشده بود، دشمنی آمد بلند کرد شمشیر رو فرو بیاره. صدا زد: ای مرد خبیث، آیا میخواهی فرزند زهرا رو بزنی؟ شمشیر رو فرود آورد، دست کوچکش رو گذاشت مقابل سینه حسین. شمشیر فرود آمد، دست عبدالله به پوست آویزان شد. صداش بلند شد: یا عمو حسین، عمو جان. خون داره از دست عبدالله می رود. بر آغوش گرفت ابا عبدالله: عبدالله جان به زودی آقا رسول الله جدت زیارت میکنی، به زودی بابایت حسن رو میبینی، آرام باش. خدایا شاهد باش چه کردن با خاندان پیامبرت. آیا گذاشتن او جملات آخر حسین و عبدالله تمام شود؟ نه والله. هرمله ملعون دستور داشت با تیر بر گلوی عبدالله. ابا عبدالله دید خون از گلوی عبدالله جاری شد. خود ابا عبدالله درد داره، خودش خون داره از بدن میره، اما اینجا داره یتیم برادر رو در آغوش میگیره. یک جا اینجا هرمله این کار رو کرد. داریم وقتی که هرمله رو دستگیر کردن، امام سجاد فرمود خوشحال شد، به درگاه خدا دعا کرد از اینکه هرمله به درک واصل شد، چون چند جا دل اهل بیت رو سوزاند. یک جایی وقتی که ابا عبدالله علی اصغر رو قنداق علی اصغر رو بالای دست گرفت، اونجا بود علی اصغر داغش رو بر دل حسین گذاشت. دومین جا وقتی که عبدالله در آغوش ابا عبدالله بود، این از فاصله دور نزد ها، اینا حسین رو محاصره کرده بودن از هر طرف. با تیر برگروی عبدالله ابن حسن، تیر سومی که داغش از همه سنگین تر از او تیر 3 شعبه ای بود که بر سینه ابا عبدالله نشست. وعلا لعنت الله علی القوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Ya Allah, by the honor of Shuhadai Karbala, especially the innocent child Abdullah ibn Hassan, the orphan of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, all these hands were extended before you, Ya Allah. Do not leave these hands empty-handed tonight. Grant them whatever is the khayr, whatever is the best of dunya and akhirah for all of us, and grant us your forgiveness and your mercy. Ya Allah, by the honor of Shuhadai Karbala, all those who are mareed, all those who are sick, we have people in our community who is in need of our du'as. There are sisters in our community who are in need of du'as, those who are battling cancer or any other hard illness. There's also another sister, Sister Rijali. They asked me to mention her name, and any other marid. If even we don't mention the name, Allah knows what's in our hearts. Remember those marid. Ya Allah, by the honor of Abu Abdullah and Hussain alayhi salam, grant them shifa, healing and recovery as soon as possible. Grant the soul of all of our marhumeen, all those we lost, family members, community members. Grant them maghfirah and forgiveness, and grant their families the tawfiq and ability to remember and to maintain their legacy, and inshallah have patience during the difficult time of grieving. Ya Allah, by the honor of Abu Abdullah, hasten in return and reappearance of the Imam of our time, the awaited Savior, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. JazakAllah khayr. Let's everybody stand up. We finish inshallah with Azadari. Ajrukum indallah. Say the salam to Abu Abdullah. From distance is Assalamu Alaikum Abu Abdullah. We have Imam As-Sadiq said from distance, if you say 3 times Assalamu Alaikum Abu Abdullah, inshallah your name will be written as the visitor and the za'ir of Imam al-Hussain. Assalamu Alaikum Ya Abu Abdullah, Assalamu Alayk Ya Abu Abdullah, Assalamu Alayk Abdullah, Sayyidi Ya Mazlum Ya Abu Abdullah, Sayyidi Ya Mazlum Ya Abu Abdullah, Sayyidi Ya Mazlum Ya Abu Abdullah, Assalamu Alayk
Abdullah, Assalamu Alayk Ya Abdullah, Assalamu Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. خواهرت در قتلگامت سرت آنجا نبود، کوفه با تو روبرو شد، پیکرت آنجا نبود. شام عاشورا که آمد دست بوست خواهرت، نبود انگشت و انگشترت آنجا نبود. غریب مظلوم با عبدالله الحسین صلوات. بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم، بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم، بیا تا مشعل حکمت به قلب تو برافروزم، بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم، بیا خواهر که با تو رمزهای را کنم افشا، بیا تا پرده بردارم ز رمز کربلا یک جا، بیا تا بر تو گویم من نهانی ها مرموزم، بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم، بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو بلا خان معراج ما باشد زمین کربلا خواهر بدان معراج ما باشد مقام قرب ما اردو زمین کربلا باشد مهیا بر سر دادن برای حق در امروزم بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم مکن زینب تو بیتابی اسیری را مهیا باش مکن زینب تو بیتابی اسیری را مهیا باش مزن بر سینه و بر سر به جان من شکیبا باش بیا تا بر دل زارت شکیبایی بیندوزم بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم بر این طفلان ویلانم در این رحما در این بنما به هر روز و شب خواهر به طفلان یا وری بنما میان قتلگه خواهر به خاک و خون در امروزم بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم بیا خواهر که اسرار اسیری بر تو آموزم صلوات محمدی
بر محمد اهل بیت محمد صلوات از آن خوشم که شدم نوکر سرای حسین منم غلام کسی که بود گدای حسین دو چشم داده خداوند تا که گریه کنم یکی برای حسن آن یکی برای حسین یقین که آتش دوزخ حرام گردیدم با جسم آن که بود یار آشنای حسین من چشم و چراغ مرتضایم من چشم و چراغ مرتضایم فرزند امام مجتبایم دل داده شاه کربلایم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم نم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم نم سر در ره رهبرم گذارم سر در رگ رهبرم گذارم در راه حسین جان سپارم جز پیرهنم زره ندارم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم لب تشنه شربت شهادت لب تشنه شربت شهادت در خون گلو کنم عبادت گردید نصیبم این سعادت من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم حسینم بر پیکر اگر زنید سنگم بر پیکر اگر زنید سنگم از نیزه کنید چنگ چنگم و از خون گلو کنید رنگم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم حسینم از سوز آتش در التهابم از سوز آتش در التهابم مثل جگر عمو کبابم شمشیر جواب آب آبم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار غمخوار حسینم من سینه به تیرها گشودم من سینه به تیرها گشودم من چهره به تیغها گشودم این اسب به موج خون سرورم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم من چشم چراغ مرتضایم من چشم و چراغ مرتضایم فرزند امام مجتبایم دل داده شاه کربلایم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم سر در رگ رهبرم گذارم سر در رگ رهبرم گذارم در راه حسین جان سپارم جز پیرهنم زره ندارم من یار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم غمخوار حسینم من یار حسینم غمخوار حسینم غمخوار حسینم بر محمد اهل بیت محمد صلوات
صلوات دومی را بلندتر خواهد. کاروان می رود خسته خسته یا حسین این دل ما شکسته کاروان می رود خسته خسته یا حسین این دل ما شکسته طفلها میروند زار و حیران، ذکر لبهایشان یا حسین جان. کاروان میرود خسته خسته، این دلم کاروان رو به شام دل به دنبالو دارن، رو به شام دل به دنبالو دارن، یک جهان گل به گودالو دارن. کربلا گشته از خون گلستان، بین خون لاله ها گند و غلطان. کاروان می رود خسته خسته، یا حسین این دل ما شکسته. کاروان می رود خسته خسته، یا حسین این دل ما شکسته. کودکان مو پریشان سوارن، کودکان مو پریشان سوارن، داغ دارند و بی غم گسارند. می روند از کنار شهیدان، می زنند بر سر و سینه نالان. کاروان می رود کاروان میرود خسته خسته، یا حسین این دل ما شکسته. میکنن قتل و گاران زاره، میکنن قتل و گاران زاره، جسمها به سرن پاره پاره. پرپرن همچو اوراق قرآن، کرده از خون زمین را گلستان. کاروان می رود خسته خسته، کاروان رو به شام دل به دنبال دارن، رو به شام دل به دنبال دارن، یک جهان گل به گودال دارن. کربلا گشته از خون گلستان، بین خون لاله هایند و غلطان. کاروان می رود کاروان خسته خسته، یا حسین این دل ما شکسته. صلوات محمد. قریب مظلوم ابو عبدالله الحسین صلوات. السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن، السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن. ای گل مجتبی و ای عقیق یمن، ای گل مجتبی و ای عقیق یمن. شافع عالم حسنی حسین، یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر. السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن. عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن دستت از پیکرت جدا شده چون عمو دستت از پیکرت جدا شده چون عمو هر لباسشو بزد تو را از گلو هر لباسشو بزد تو را از گلو آخرین لشکری چون علی اصغری آخرین لشکری چون علی اصغری یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن تن پاک تو با تن عمو شد یکی تن پاک تو با تن عمو شد یکی سینه و دست و صورت و گلو شد یکی سینه و دست و صورت و گلو شد یکی وقت جان دادنت اربن ارباطنت وقت جان دادنت اربن ارباطنت یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر علی عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن چون عمویم عباس دستم ز تن شد جدا چون عمویم عباس دستم ز تن شد جدا جان ناقابلم در ره تو شد فدا جان ناقابلم در ره تو شد فدا مقتلم قتل و گاد مقتلم قتل و گاد من فدای چشات یا ابن حیدر 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 عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی عبدالله ابن الحسن السلام علی من یتیم کریم جز تو ندارم بابا من یتیم کریم جز تو ندارم بابا اشک قربت بیار اشک قربت بیاد درد و داغش ببار یادگار حسن که از مدینه میاد وارث زخم سینه و وارث زخم سینه بین دیوار و در وارث زخم سینه بین دیوار و در یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر یا ابن حیدر صلوات بلند اللهم
بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات
اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد
آن خون که آبیاری نخل مراد کرد اعلان صلح با روش عدل و داد کرد لب تشنه که سوخت لب آب از آتش با نال دودمان عدو را ببان کرد طفلی صغیر بود ولی بزرگوار مردان یاری شه نیکو نهان کرد عاشق روی غمو آخرین سرباز آخرین سرباز عاشق روی غمو عاشق سرباز آخرین سرباز میرود سوی غمو کودک جانباز کودک جانباز یادگار مجتبی میکشد از دل ندا نوجوان کربلا ای عمو جان یا حسین 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 ای دست خود کرده رها تا شود آزاد دست خود کرده رها تا شود آزاد میرود زهرا صفت تا کند امداد بعدو شد روبرو شد دست نازو حافظ جان غمو ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو غنچه های گل شده سقاویزان غنچه های گل شده سقاویزان شد نثار حنجرش تیر نامردان شد با پایان آرزو قطره های خونی و شد گل روی غمو ایمو جان یا حسین 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 لط خود کرده رها تا شود آزاد میرود زهرا صفت تا کند امداد بعدو شد روبرو هر دو دست نازو حافظ جان غمو ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا حسین ایمو جان یا عزکم الله باراگو پیمبر که علی جان من است هم بجان علی و محمد صلوات نا وقت میگه نا وقت دیگه آمدم تا که جان کنم فدایتمو سر بنهم از ادب بخاک پایت عمو آمدم تا که جان کنم فدایتمو سر بنهم از ادب بخاک پایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای آمدم از حرم برد سوی قتلگاه تا نگرم چون بود حال تو ای بی پناه کنون ببینم تو را غرق بخون پی سپاه دیده بپوشم چسان من از عطایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت جان عمو سر نهم کنون کف پای تو زشک نهم مرهمی بزخم آزای تو رفع نمایم ز تو ضربت آدای تو دست و سر خود کنم سپر برایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با منم یتیم حسن دیده سویم باز کن مرا در آغوش گیر مرحمت آغاز کن محرم رازت منم بیا با من راز کن که چون بود حال دل در این بلایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم آمدم تازه خون چهره خود انور کنم آمدم تازه خون چهره خود انور کنم در ره یاری تو ترک تر و سر کنم جان با قدومت نثار همچو برادر کنم بماندم یادگار ز مجتبایت عمو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو شوم فدایت عمو ای شه با آبرو عجکم الله بارا گو پیمبر که علی جان من است بجان علی و اسم محمد سلامات
السلام عليك يا رسول الله يا نبي الله يا خير خلق الله يا خاتم النبيين السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين ويا إمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليكم أيها الحسن والحسين سبطي نبي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة أجمعين السلام على علي بن الحسين زين العابدين السلام على محمد بن علي باقر علم النبيين السلام على جعفر بن محمد الصادق السلام على موسى بن جعفر الكاظم السلام على علي بن موسى الرضا السلام على محمد بن علي التقي الجواد السلام على علي بن محمد الهادي النقي السلام على حسن بن علي العسكري الزكي السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان يا خليفة الرحمن يا إمام الإنس والجان يا أبا صالح المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العلي العظيم وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات especially for Marhuma Yusufi, mother of a brother who is helping the masjid with the charity. Brother Ismail, his mother passed away, Marhuma Yusufi. For her and all the other marhumin, rahimallahu liman qara al-fatihata ma'a as-salawat.
پس نور من است دختر عشقم پس امر من است داور عشقم پس حکم من است نوه درم رقیه طرف